So I always wanted, the dream was to do something, to work in something that I love doing, right? I want to be a dog trainer. I didn't really know what a dog trainer was like at the beginning. I thought obviously it's training dogs, but as I started to train more, I really learned, well, it's more about
All right, so Elliot, introduce yourself a little bit. What's your name? What do you do?
So my name is Elliot, the owner and founder of Mania Dog Training, and just started the company just because, I had dogs of my own. I used to live in Costa Rica, so I had dogs of my own, and I hired a trainer, to train my own dogs, and just fell in love with the process.
Wait, what were your first dogs that you had in Costa Rica?
So the first dogs that I had were two Dutch Shepherds.
Oh gosh.
Mamba and Sergeant.
Mamba!
And then I had a German Shepherd named Troy.
Okay, yeah, so really high drive. Did you know what you were getting into when you got those dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you knew they were going to be drivey, like they were going to be like really intense dogs, but you liked that?
Yeah.
You liked the idea of it?
I loved it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. How many years ago was that you were like living in Costa Rica and you had that?
So that was, I left in 2014, so this is over 10 years ago, yeah.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. And then New York, huh? Or have you always been like in this area?
So yeah, I grew up in Long Island.
Okay.
And then that's how I ended up back in New York. COVID hit, and I was already training dogs, when COVID hit, and then everybody just got a dog, and before you knew it, I just had more dogs that I can train, and
one thing led to another, and then this whole big facility. But let's backtrack a little bit. So you had dogs, you were in Costa Rica, you had your dogs trained, you fell in love with the process. You moved back here to, Long Island, the New York area, and what? Like you're back here, and do you automatically just think dog training? Like that's exactly what I'm gonna do? Or was it like you were doing something else and then you're like, oh, I don't really like this at all, I wanted to? Or did you come back here, you had a plan in mind?
So I always wanted, the dream was to do something, to work in something that I love doing, right? So the goal is, hey, if I work in something that I love doing, it's like not working at all.
Yeah.
And that's how I said, I want to be a dog trainer. I didn't really know what a dog trainer was like at the beginning. I thought obviously it's training dogs, but as I started to train more, I really learned, well, it's more about training the dog owners than it is training the dogs. And that's really, I think, why I really excelled, because I understood how to communicate with the different owners.
A lot of dog trainers don't realize that it's really, they get into it and they're like, oh, I got into dog training because I don't like people that much. But like so much of this is all about being able to educate the human.
Dog training, a lot of trainers in general think that it's just okay, we're training and we're just making forward progress.
Yeah.
And it's not. Dog training is ups and downs.
Yeah.
But the end result, when you have that consistency and that repetition and the patience, at the end you are going to make changes. And really, I would say, like, what I love about dog training, dog training is more, we change lives. Lives of the dogs, lives of the owner, to really make it a whole better experience for everybody.
If you were to give advice to other aspiring dog trainers, and they have hopes and dreams and goals of opening their own facility, what are some of advice that you could give to them? Were there any challenges in being able to find a space? I know that depending on where you're at, there's certain zoning and different regulations and permits that you have to have and everything like that. So for you going through that process, do you have any words of wisdom to other aspiring dog trainers that they're doing the in-home board and trains, they're doing the private lessons, and they are ready to expand, take on employees, and get a facility? Do you have any words of wisdom?
Yeah, so I would say first is gain as much experience as possible. Training dogs, working with other trainers, working with all different breeds of dogs, all different temperaments, and also all different clients, because all clients learn at different levels. And then I would also see, if you enjoy the business end, if you enjoy, the business end of the dog training business. If you enjoy speaking with clients and doing phone consultations, you know, if you enjoy, you know, doing all the paperwork, the bookkeeping and all that stuff, because I would say it's hard to manage sometimes, you know, everything. So really kind of see if you like doing both. And then if you like doing both, then go ahead and you know, and open a dog training business.
Do you have any sort of, I don't know, war story that you would share of just when you think back in your time? Do you have any notable dog or notable client, whether positive or negative, but it has stuck in your mind through all these years of training dogs? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
Some of the earlier, like, aggressive dogs that I trained were some of my most challenging, and also I, you know, learned a lot. Just like an example, I had one dog in my house, and it was a resource guarder. And I didn't have the leash on. He got the leash off. So and he's a territorial guarder. So there I am in my house, you know, a prisoner in my own house because.
So he started guarding your house.
He started guarding. I couldn't. He was guarding the room that he was in, and I couldn't get the leash on him. You know,
but I'm assuming you did at some point.
So I got the leash on him, but it took a while, and he was very, you know, adamant about, you know, guarding his area. So I learned, definitely don't, you know, have control of the dog. At all times. And so that kind of was like kind of a war story where I learned, like, it was kind of like a battle.
You definitely take a lesson there for sure.
But then really just having the patience, you know, with those dogs. Because a lot of dogs, you know, who are like that, they usually get away with it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna guard, and then they're just gonna leave me alone. And in this case, well, no, you're gonna, I'm gonna work with you until we get it right.
Was he a success story?
Yeah, he was a huge success story. That dog actually, it was a Siberian Husky, and the owner was, you know, he was a severe resource guarder, and in the end, he turned out to be an incredible dog. And he's totally off leash. The owner takes him to the beach. He just enjoys, and that's so really, and that's kind of where the huge success story is. Where not when the dog leaves here for me, right? When the dog, that is important, of course, the dog leaves here. But now that I have, you know, from over 2 years ago, the dogs that I trained, and I see how those dogs are today, and that's when it's like, wow, like the dog, it kept all the training. You know, and it's
now. You also did something right with the owners too. Because they're maintaining it. You know, wow, doesn't it just make you, like, it's kind of like, wow, like, I made that huge of an impact in people's lives that, like, they're able to live, like, the dream life with their dog even, like, 3 years later. What was it that you say? I was listening to you talk to either a client or something like that. You said that here at Canine Mania, we change lives. Is that what you usually say? Yeah. No, I like that. It's because it's very, very accurate. So before we kind of, you know, wrap everything up a little bit, I have a few more questions for you. Not super related to dog training, but maybe just some insight into who Elliot is. Do you have any quote that kind of sticks in your mind that you really resonate with, whether it be for inspiration or motivation? Do you have any favorite quote or saying?
I mean, one that I give to trainers when training the dog, you know, it's a lot of people think training it, you know, an easy job. And it's not. It can be. There's ups and downs in training. But what I always try to instill with the trainers, because sometimes people forget, you know, dogs are not humans, right? And they don't have human emotions, stuff like that. So the way I train is making everything a game, right? So I always tell people, you always have to have fun training dogs. Right? You always have to have a smile on your face. Because the dog feels that energy. So don't forget, you know, when you're training dogs, always make it fun. And that kind of, for me, that carries on, because sometimes I have to catch myself and I'm like, okay, you know, this is, and whether it be a difficult dog or a puppy, this, that, you know, not to get frustrated, but always put a smile on your face and have fun with the whole process. And also with teaching the clients to understand, hey, right, the dog owners, right, you can't get mad at your dog, right? Your dog doesn't understand. You gotta have, even if you make mistakes and there's nothing ever gonna be perfect, right? But always have fun in the process. So that's kind of, I think, an important quote that I always, you know, put in my head: smile and always have fun when I'm training dogs, and instill that to all the people that I work with.
Because then they'll also pass that on to, they end up mentoring someone else or just with their clients, whatever it may be. Is there any like last parting words that you would give, you know, advice to aspiring dog trainers or advice to owners, or yeah, just kind of those two different groups? Is there anything that you would want to say?
Yeah, I mean, just really always, you know, when you are training your dog, don't just train it, but integrate it in your life. You know, it's not just about we're out for the training session and the dog knows he knows the sit, down, place, come, he can walk perfectly off leash, heel, but integrate it in your daily life.
Yeah.
Where the dog doesn't only listen when you have the training equipment on or when you have your treat pouch out. So really live that lifestyle with your dog.
Yeah.
And then understand there's never sometimes early on in dog training, I would always look for perfection.
Yes.
And understanding there's never going to be perfection.
Yeah.
So, you know, work your best, work your hardest.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, just be consistent, you know, with your dog. And don't forget it's about the relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, why do we get dogs in the first place is about having so having that awesome relationship with your dog.
Yeah.
You know, and understanding how that's going to translate to the overall happiness of the dog and the overall happiness of you. So that's kind of the way, that's kind of the biggest part of it is we do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, the objective is to have a good, solid foundation, a happy, you know, cohesive relationship with our dog.
Yeah.
So that's,
I like that. Those are some really, really good parting words. I like that a lot. Thank you, Elliot, so much for sitting down and talking with me today. I'll go ahead and let you go so you can do all of your important business things. And yeah, so if people want to get started with Canine Mania dog training, what should they do?
Yeah, just go to our website, fill out a consultation form, and a trainer will get back to you to set up a phone call and an evaluation.
What's the website?
www.k9maniadogtraining.com.
Perfect. Okay, you guys heard it? K9maniadogtraining.com. Fill out a consultation form, and a trainer will get to you.
Thank you again, Natalie.
Thanks, Elliot.